defense in NCAA history. They had to give up 56 points to do that this last game, and they gave up 57. So, I mean, it's definitely something you don't want, but it's kind of crazy that it happened. Temple beat them 57-7. UConn is absolutely terrible. I don't know how they won a game. They're 1-11, 0-8 in the American Athletic Conference. You know, Buffalo took care of business against Bowling Green to get their championship. A team that didn't was UAB because they were already in it. Like we said before, we bet on Middle Tennessee State there, and that worked out pretty well for us, obviously. But, yeah, I figured that, this now that Marshall beat Florida International, Middle Tennessee State will be playing UAB again. Middle Tennessee State beat them 27-3, and this game is pretty close to a pick 'em. I think UAB might be favored by like 2 points or something, but I'd be on the Middle Tennessee State side. What we have, Arizona State. Arizona misses a field goal to win. They're down 40-41. Last second field goal they miss, and Herm Edwards comes and wins this big game, bringing him to bowl eligibility 7-5. Well, I guess they were already 6-5, but they'll get a little bit better of one. That's pretty cool. Congrats to Herm. He beat a lot of people's season win totals. I hope to see ASU progressing. I really do. Michigan State versus Rutgers. They're losing until it was tied for most of the game, and they scored at the end to win. That's just a piss poor performance, and I'm probably going to be fading the hell out of Michigan State when the time is right. TCU versus Oklahoma State. We had the under 57 in that game, and there's immediately in the third quarter, once it started, Oklahoma State fumbles their kickoff and TCU scores, and then TCU somehow scores a touchdown like 30 seconds later, 14 points. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm going to lose this. And then they missed the field goal at the end. Finally, they hit my under, but I'll tell you, that was finally one of those bad beats that didn't happen to you. I think that you don't foresee too many defensive special teams touchdowns, but that's one thing that can just kill a nice under bet. It really can. Hard to bet the unders this year. I think the overs have been a little bit more of the way to go, especially in the NFL. Well, we're going to be talking more about championship week on our next podcast and go a little bit deeper into some of those games. I want a quick touch on the NFL before we get into fantasy football with Dean Asti here. The NFL, Cleveland Browns, this team is on the up and up, man. Hugh Jackson goes from Cleveland to the Bengals, and Cleveland beats the Bengals 35-20. That has to be pretty embarrassing for the guy. But going 1-31 or whatever it was, I think 1 for 31 in 2 years, that has to be more embarrassing. So he's probably used to it. Baker Mayfield had some remarks about Hugh Jackson. Like, he's mad that he went to the Bengals. It's like, dude, he got fired. He should be able to go wherever he wants. I thought that was kind of silly that Baker made those remarks. But Baker's young. The most important thing about Baker is he's a damn good quarterback. So, this game didn't surprise me. We had the Browns. We bet them early at +3 and went all the way down to +1. The Giants blew the Eagles game. They were winning 19-11 at halftime, completely imploded, and blew the game in the fourth quarter, allowing 11 points. Saquon Barkley was good, 100 yards. Eli Manning was good for a while, and then he just faded off. But we bet +4.5 on the Eagles. The Bucks beat the 49ers, and wow, did the 49ers look bad. I got to tell you that the 49ers, man, 2-9, they already hit their under on the season win total for sure. And most of the people were betting overs because of Jimmy Garoppolo. But I got to tell you, any team that's 2-9, you wonder even if with Jimmy Garoppolo, if they were going to hit that over. They cannot win a road game to save themselves. This team I thought was still a little bit better than the Cardinals, but now I'm starting to question that. They just fired one of their linebacker, Reuben Foster, for domestic abuse, and he was supposed to turn out. He was a first-round draft pick, and he didn't. So he had some signs when they drafted him, and well, there you go. The Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Everyone's all high and happy on them. But the Ravens, they beat the Bengals and then now the Raiders. Okay? This is it was a perfect time for Jackson to start, to, I guess, build this kid's confidence. But, man, if there's a team you want to fade because of who they played, it's the freaking Baltimore Ravens next week, and we'll see where this line ends up against Atlanta. Chargers destroy the Cardinals. Really, no reason to talk more about that. The Colts had a really tough game against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins really show a lot of poise. Tannehill came back, played well, 17 for 25, 2 TDs. Kenyon Drake had a TD. Lots of receiving yards, 64. It's just the Dolphins and Adam Gase. They lost a lot of players and are pretty banged up, but they still are able to play. Man, their receivers were decimated, and guys like Leonte Carew had 74 yards, 2 targets. Smythe had 2 receptions for 27, and Kenyon Drake had a touchdown. Danny Amendola had a target. They're just kind of finding production out of nowhere, and that's just so Adam Gase. I remember when he was at the Bears, he was actually a pretty good play caller. And then let's get into finally the Packers versus the Vikings.
But they are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. There's something wrong there. Like I said, on the handicap now, it's kind of just fun ranting on them a little bit, but it was true. What I was trying to say is there is some issues with this team. There's lack of trust. There's jealousy. There's locker room problems. There's people that there's not enough leaders on this team. The Vikings did get a little bit lucky. They really did. I thought that that punt that bounced off Williams and that made an easy score for the Vikings was pretty lucky. The Vikings came out kind of cold. The Packers scored on them first, 7-0, and they scored again. And then the Vikings kind of came back in the third quarter and scored 10 points. The Packers got 3 points late. But, the Packers have some stuff. They have a great pass blocking offensive line. They have some talent on the receivers with Devontae Adams. Jimmy Graham's banged up, but this Valdez-Scantling looks pretty good, and they have some decent run. They have some good passing games, and Andrew Jones has just been killing it. But this team makes some stupid mistakes, and they seem easy to scheme against somehow. This defense, you almost kind of see. You almost kind of feel where they're going, where Clay Matthews is going. Just foul him and run away from him, it seems, what they do. But the Packers are in some serious trouble. 4-6-1. The Vikings are 6-4-1. Vikings still have a great shot to win this NFC North. I think the Bears, are leading it obviously, but they're 8-3, and they still have to play the Rams at the Giants. And the Giants can be good at home, man. Those Odell Beckham, and then they have the Vikings at the Vikings, and then home against the Packers. Yeah, there's no gimme there. The Bears still have to earn this thing, so just pump your brakes a little bit. I as a Bear fan, I think they need to get this one more win against the Giants. I hope that Mitch is going to play. He's still banged up, but I think it's better to try against the Giants than just the Rams. It is what it is. The Rams are a better team. So if you're a Bear fan, I think you really want this win because you don't want to lose against the Giants and then at the Rams. Then you lost 2 in a row, and then all of a sudden you have the Packers and the Vikings coming up. That's not fun. And then the Bears have one more game coming up, and I don't know. I think it's the 49ers, and they should be able to handle the 49ers, thank God. But it's not that easy coming out here. And the Vikings, they're pissed and they're poised now. Unfortunately for the Vikings, Xavier Rhodes, he's definitely injured pretty bad, and we'll have to see what his hammy comes out. Well, that's the recap. There's no Big Ten power ratings, no reason to talk about it. They're going to be playing. Some of the Big Ten teams will be playing in the bowl games, and we'll be talking about it then. And there are obviously no betting spots because everyone has to win their championship week. I guess Stanford Cal's a rivalry still. They're going to want to beat each other up, and there's a few smaller games and some makeup games, but nothing too special. So we'll get into that on our next episode. But for now, let's move into fantasy football with D Nasty. All right, and we are back with fantasy football, week 13 with D Nasty. How you doing, my man?
Awesome. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing great. Just fantasy's rolling. The bye weeks are over, and that means there's no excuses. So I'm ready. I'm in the playoff. I'm slated in the playoffs for about 3 of my 4 leagues, which is great. One's a little iffy. I could, if something goes to hell, I could lose the playoffs and just be 2 out of 2. But I'm pretty happy with what we got going on here, and did well. So a lot of things happened this week, though, didn't it?
Yes, a lot of injuries this week.
Absolutely, man. And the injuries were okay, but they weren't terrible. But why don't you go ahead and get into the injuries?
Okay, sounds good. Well, started off with one of the main injuries is going to be Melvin Gordon, sprained MCL. He's week to week right now, but he's probably going to miss a minimum of 2 weeks from what they're saying. The MRI came back today, and they said 2 to 4 weeks, so probably looking at 2 weeks. If we're lucky, he'd be back in a week. So, and then Andy Dalton placed on IR today as well. He's out for the remainder of the year. Jeff Driscoll will be taking over for him. We'll be talking about him shortly. He was placed on IR today with the torn ligaments in his thumb. So another person that's going to be done for the year. And then also another couple guys that are done for the year. Jake Doyle. This is a surprise thing. Today put him on the IR as well. So Eric Ebron, stock just shot up. Doyle was hospitalized with a kidney injury today. He was put on IR as well. And then another person put on IR today, Marvin Jones. So if you had him, you can drop him as well. He was placed on IR with a knee injury. Bengals did sign Tom Savage, so Andy Dalton is for sure done for the year.
Yeah, Driscoll's starting for Andy Dalton, right? Yeah, that's what you meant.
Correct.
I thought you said Driscoll. Okay. And then go ahead.
So yes, I just was saying that Tom Savage was signed, so he's for sure done for the year because they signed a backup quarterback to back up Driscoll, so Dalton's done for the year. And then Derek Carr, he surgically repaired right ankle. He sprained that again in the fourth quarter. He's week to week right now. He's probably questionable for this week, but I think he will still play. And then another guy, Kenyon Drake, briefly left in the fourth quarter with a left shoulder injury. He was having a good week as well, so keep an eye on that one. He's questionable for this upcoming week. For IDP leagues, this is a guy I have in one of my leagues. Dante Jackson, a rookie for the Panthers, suffered a quad injury. So for IDP leagues, that's going to be huge. And then Jimmy Ward, the safety for the 49ers, he's a good IDP guy as well, suffered a broken left forearm. So another guy that's going to be out for a little while. And then linebacker Josh Bynes for the Cardinals. Xavier Rhodes for the Vikings left as well. His MRI on his hamstring injury. And Bynes suffered left thumb injury in the second quarter. And that's what I have for injury.